Hi, I'm Susan B., and welcome. I'm excited to share something very special with you. As an intuitive, I channel messages from Divine Feminine and my guidance team, as well as souls who have passed over. The messages are evidence-based, prescriptive, and predictive based on current potential possibility. All of my sessions are conducted through Zoom and are with clients around the world. My guidance team doesn't allow sessions to be recorded by myself or my clients. And while they have a great sense of humor, they're very serious about no recordings and have been known to temporarily misplace phones of clients who try to record on their own. And they have bumped me out of connections when I attempted to record in my early days of channeling. When I approached my guidance team about recording a session so that you could have a glimpse inside of a reading, they agreed with parameters, which I agreed to follow. The client I'm channeling for, Sonja, has also given permission to record and post this view into her session. So now I'm going to have Sonja join me, and I hope you enjoy this. Hi, Sonja, and thanks for being here. And I'm really excited about doing this session for you. So let's just jump in. I know that
Thank you.
You're welcome. So I know that I've done a session for you in the past, but let's just kind of refresh what to expect. So the first thing to
Okay.
know is that I typically don't record sessions because my guides don't allow that, but in this case, they gave me special permission. So I receive my messages through visual, like a movie format, and also through verbal. So
Okay.
when I receive a message through verbal, I will give that message to you as they gave it to me.
Okay.
If I see a visual, I will explain to you what I'm seeing. And if it's something that I see all the time and it has a certain meaning to me, I will share that and then ask if it makes sense to you, because it might mean something different to you. And that's totally okay.
Okay.
Um, I'm not tapping into your energy. I'm receiving the messages from the guides. So I'm the intermediary between what they say and then being able to give you that information.
Okay.
Let's see what else. Oh, okay. So we're going to do a prayer. I'm
Okay.
not tapping into your energy at all. The only thing I'm going to do is connect a red ribbon from my heart to your heart. And that is a connection of love, which is the connection that we use when I channel. I will also be saying a prayer for us, but I have open sacred space before we started, so we're in a safe environment. My guides are extremely kind, loving. They do have a sense of humor sometimes. So you can feel totally comfortable with the messages that they bring through. After
Okay.
we go through the opening prayer and I do connect, there will be some silence because I'm going to then connect with them. And when the messages start to come through, I will then give them to you. So don't worry if there's some silence. Sometimes it takes a little bit for the messages to start. The other thing is too, and this is just really strange and I just go with it, but when I start to channel, I end up turning to my side. So it's my left and I hear out of this ear. So if you see me, I'm not facing you. I haven't left you. That is just what happens in the process. And the last thing I want to share is that I do channel with my eyes closed. And the reason I channel with my eyes closed is so that there aren't any distractions from the screen or from anything going on around. And if things come through as a movie, I see them against a black background. Okay?
Okay.
Any questions before we get going?
No.
Good to go. All right. So, Sonja, if you would just put your name into this reading because it brings your energy in, that would be great.
Okay. My name is Sonja.
Okay. And Sonja, let's just go ahead and ground ourselves in this space. And so just take a deep inhale with me and a deep exhale. One more deep inhale and a deep exhale. And one last deep inhale and deep exhale. Perfect. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and connect my heart to your heart with that red ribbon I mentioned. You may feel something, you may not, and whatever happens is perfectly okay. And the reason I'm connecting the red ribbon from my heart to your heart is because we are connecting with love, as I mentioned that before. Okay. So my prayer to begin and to let them know that I'm ready to work is for Susan and Sonja. Imagine that we are encircled in a beautiful white and golden light, made of universal love, ancient wisdom, eternal knowledge, and abundance of source that is available to us at all times and in all ways. And as we set our sacred space together today, we do it for our encouragement, empowerment, expansiveness, restoration, regeneration, reclamation, joy, healing, and creativity. And we ask for support today from the universe for Sonja's highest good. And so it is. All right. So this is where there's going to be silence, where I'm going to do my connection. You may hear a little mumbling, and that's my prayer with them. So just sit back and relax. So the very first thing that they're sharing with me is that they are very happy that you and I are there with them. And the interesting thing is I'm seeing like a council of guides that are sitting like at a long table, just kind of overseeing everything. And in the room that I walked into is filled with guidance. So let me see what their first message is for you. Okay, so they're telling me that they have your back in your current situation. They want you to know that it is not long-term. And they're saying that the map that you have set out for yourself is a map that they want you to follow. They want you to be in your own space where the energetic is conducive to the work that you're called to do. They're telling me that you've been holding back on your work. And it's almost like that's starting to bubble up inside of you. Does that make sense to you?
Yes.
Okay. They're showing me, this is really kind of funny. They're showing me you, and it's like your mouth is sort of open and all of this stuff is coming out, but it's not bad stuff. What it is like these beautiful colors and like sparkling like diamonds. And okay, it's almost like the ocean. So they're showing me dolphins coming out in like a like if you were to take water in your mouth and then blow it out your mouth, it's coming out that way, but it's all the colors and it's the jewel tone colors. And those colors, like the blue and the purple and the rich green, are usually an indication of like happiness. Do those colors mean something to you?
Those are all of my favorite colors
Okay.
because, and I mean, I need for my brain to be happy, I need like colorful things anyway. So, um, but yeah, I love all those colors. Those are like deep healing colors and just higher the crown chakra and stuff. So I love those colors.
Okay. And they are showing sparkling like diamonds, but they aren't actual diamonds. It's just sparkling in that. And then you know how dolphins jump in the air and sometimes they go backwards and sometimes they leap over themselves. And they're showing me
Right.
those as well. So the connection to the ocean and the water, which is
Uh-huh.
typically spiritual, and then the playful happiness of dolphins.
Well, you know how I love music,
Mhm.
and the first thing that came to me was this song called Cool Change. And the video is there's dolphins and it's the ocean. So I think it's a message about cool change, because that's how they speak to me is through music.
Okay.
So I think what you're showing me basically is that
Okay.
by the
That
Little River Band. So
okay. Okay. I'm not familiar with them, but I will look them up afterwards. So that's very cool. Thank you.
yeah.
Okay, let's see what else they want to share. So they're telling me you are going to step into a place of stability.
Uh-huh.
They're also showing me, are you grounding yourself enough?
No. And
Okay.
so and that's why so music, as soon as I hear music, that's how I meditate and stuff. And I literally I had to make myself picture myself grounding myself because and I even stopped listening to music so much. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
um but yes, no, I know I have to ground myself more.
Okay, so
So,
what they're showing me is they're showing me a pillow that's green, which to me would represent the grass, and
right.
there it's on the ground, and that they want you to sit on the ground.
Yes. I know what they're saying because how I ground myself, I go out and do yard work,
Okay.
and I go out and walk. But, how with the weather changing, I'm not getting my hands in the dirt and all of that stuff. So at least, so now I know because that's what was missing from the summer to fall. And now, it's still been nice like right now, but I miss that. But so I get it.
Okay. Message received.
Right.
Okay. All right. Let's see what else they want to share. Um, okay. So they're showing me a book. The book is open, but there's no writing on it on the page.
Okay.
There's like pages open. There's no writing on there, but they're showing me, and I know this is kind of old timey sort of, but they're showing me you writing in the book. It's either you're writing in a journal or you are going to be writing a book. And does that make sense to you at all?
Um, it does for a couple things. Um, and I'll go back to this cool change thing in a second, but so this book, um, I mean, I love old books, and that's what my focus is the old books and the classic rock. So I put them both together, classic, books, classic rock.
Okay.
So that could be the one thing.
Okay.
Um, all of my adventures, I basically detach from like you're supposed to, and it's going to be a movie, it's going to be a book. You just got to put yourself, like, don't take offense to anything, to what happens through you. You just got to kind of be removed.
Okay.
But the open book, um I just got a journal at this estate sale,
Okay.
and I opened it up. It was empty, but I opened it up, and I know the lady whose book it belonged to. She and the journal was dated not like 1980, but it was empty, but it was a present for her, to her, and I think it was like in 1980s when she got it. I met this woman, I think 10 years ago, and she was like in her 80s and 90s, and she passed away.
Okay.
So I don't know if that's her, like, saying hi, but it's validating that I do have an empty book.
Okay.
That was her journal that someone had given her. But I mean, all of my stuff's around books and old
Okay.
times. So
Yeah, because the pages are they're like they're not new. Okay. They're more
right.
sort of yellowed a little bit, like they're
Yes,
aged.
I collect old books too.
Okay.
So yes, and I actually, one of my favorite books, I have different versions of them, but my favorite book is uh it's a yellow book. It's a 1938 book, and it's yellowed pages as
Oh,
well.
okay.
So,
Okay. So let me see if they have any information they want to give me, because they just showed me the visual here.
okay.
Okay, so what they said is there's a book in you.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's
Um,
yeah, there is. So,
okay, so let me see if they have any information about that.
okay.
They're telling me it's not right now, it's a little bit down the road.
Yes.
Okay. And they're saying you're going to be writing your heart out.
Yes.
Okay. And they're also saying that you need to make sure that you do this because this is your voice.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So let's see what else they have, what other information they have for you. Okay, so they just said you're going to be going on a journey of self-discovery. I want to get more information about what that looks like, what that means.
Okay.
Okay, it's not a physical journey. They're saying you're going to dive back into yourself and find a renewed version of where you want to go.
Right.
Um, they're saying you have a lot of options and a lot of choices that you can make. So what they're showing me is you on a path, and you have, it's almost like it's not a fork in the road. It's actually a path that has offshoots in like 5 or 6 or 7 different directions
Right.
and they're all like glittering pink. So let me see what they're saying about that. They're saying so many choices open. None will be wrong. If you travel down one and decide it's not for you, you can just turn around and come back and go down another one.
Okay.
None of the choices you make will harm you in any way. It's just that they may not sparkle for you. And so what I get that they're telling me is that you have all these choices, but you may go down one that just doesn't, as you go down it, you think it's a good path, but it just doesn't light you up.
Right.
Doesn't light you up. Okay.
Yeah.
And so you can turn around and come back and follow another path. None will lead you in the wrong direction. It's just what excites you and where your passions lie.
Okay.
They're saying follow the different breadcrumbs, but follow the ones that light up.
Right. Okay.
Okay. They're saying to look at your path, look at all these different options, and ask them to show you, your guides to show you what one, to light one up for you that is your first choice, that you need to investigate first.
Okay.
Okay. And they said, each time you ask them, they will light up the next one for you. They're saying you're not in this alone. And they want you to remember you have a partner in this co-creation. Does this make sense to you?
Yes. 1,000% it does.
Okay. Okay. Let's see what else they have to say. Okay, so they're going in a completely different direction here. And what they're telling me is that your family will be okay with the choice that you make to go a different way, but it's not going to appear that way initially.
Right.
It's going to take some time for them to get used to the new way of doing things.
Right.
But they are going to be okay.
Yes.
Okay, so they're also telling me that they don't verbally say they appreciate what you're doing. Is that correct?
Yeah, but I mean, I know that they do.
Yeah. And that's where they were going, is that even though they don't verbally say it,
Right.
they do.
Yeah.
Okay, this is really funny because they're saying that they understand that your family doesn't understand what you do,
Right.
but eventually they will,
Yeah.
and that's okay.
Right.
But they also want to make sure you stand in your power.
Right.
Okay, and they're saying also be careful of the guilt.
Right.
And does that make sense?
Yeah, I think so because I'm I'm like I wanna make sure everybody else is okay, you know? And
Mhm.
so then when I do something I wanna do, I feel kinda guilty, you know what I mean? Just
Yeah.
so yeah, I get it.
Okay. And let's see if they have any more. They're also saying don't lose yourself in this situation.
Right.
Okay, so they have gone silent on me, which means that they have given me as much as they have for you. And
Okay.
they want is for you to ask any questions that maybe they haven't addressed,
Okay.
or any clarity that you want to get that may be on the things that they shared.
Um, I they hit on like everything because with the different lights or the different paths and stuff, um, I kind of signed up decades ago that I just do things for adventure, instead of, you know what I mean, experience and all of that stuff. So
Okay.
I get what they're saying if I'm going down one path and you can turn back around. So I love that because that was validation, like for what I do.
Okay.
Yeah, and as far as with my family, you don't explain woo woo to, you can't explain it. So I
Yeah.
just kind of let it go. I'm just like the little gypsy or whatever, So, um, but yeah, no, I know everything's gonna be okay, and everyone, uh, everyone feels compassion for their parents when they get older and stuff like that. I get it. I'm very loved, and I know I'm very appreciated. So, um, sometimes it does go without saying, but I understand because they're my family. I love them. They love me.
Okay.
So we're good on that. I think the validation was because for decades, it's been old books and old music. And, but, uh, Mrs. Burke, she's the one with the empty, um, journal that I got. And so I think that's kind of a message too, telling me that she's okay because she was a survivor from the Holocaust.
Oh, okay.
And so, and I know, and she was diehard Jewish, and I'm curious about every religion, but I just could not ever understand that. But I think that's just more validation that she is okay,
Yeah.
you know.
Was the
Um,
journal, was it like a brown, it looked like kind of like leather sort of, but I don't
it
know.
looks like it looked like it was fancy because it was bound up, and but I think it was a book you could buy at like Barnes and Noble and stuff.
Okay. Okay.
And there was cute little sayings on the bottom of each page and stuff. So
Mhm. Okay.
so
Okay.
I think that was her kind of letting me know because I was always kind of concerned, but I think she's fine. Um, the dolphins
What
and
was
the
her
cool
name?
change
What was her name
and the
again?
singing, that one song with the dolphins that I brought up.
Yeah.
Um, I think that was another friend of mine that passed away like 15 years ago. Um, Something happened a couple of years ago, and I could not stop listening to Cool Change by the Little River Band, and um, but the video is about dolphins and one of the videos and stuff. And I think that was his validation of because where I was at, and I was reminded of him, there was a bunch of old books,
Oh,
so it was like, so it's all like interconnected.
right,
And I
right.
think it's just validation. So,
Yeah. What was the woman who owned the journal? What was her name again?
her name was Mrs. Burke.
Okay, let me
Her
see. Okay, so she won't come through, but
Okay.
what I heard was she wants to give you a hug, and she wants you to know that she loves you. And yeah, but she doesn't understand this. She doesn't know what's
Right.
going on. So she's kind
Yeah.
of standing there, but she keeps backing up.
Yeah.
So she's not open to coming through, but she was open to just giving a message to the guides, who then gave it to me.
Okay. Well, and here's another thing. Um, is anybody with her? Because I had a really close family member pass away a few months ago, and it was at her sale that I actually got the journal from.
Okay, so
So,
no, there isn't anyone else there. Now,
okay.
if somebody passes away just a few months ago, oftentimes it takes a good 90 days before
Right.
they will come through to give messages, because giving messages in mediumship, when somebody transitions into the spirit realm, there's a period of adjustment that has to happen, and there is a need for them to understand how the mediumship aspect works. And so
Right.
usually takes longer than just a few months for them to get to that point. On
Right.
occasion, somebody will come through, but it doesn't happen all the time. And most
Right.
of the time it takes, it is a 90-day situation. So
Okay.
it's definitely something we could address at another time, but I think it's too soon, because she's just standing there. Yeah, she's just standing there kind of looking around perplexed. Like she
Right.
doesn't
Yeah.
really understand what's going on. And yeah.
That would make sense because but when you said that she wanted to give me a hug, Val, she was the hugger, and that was the estate sale that I got the
Oh,
book from. So,
okay.
but so that's why I was asking about Val as well.
Okay, let me ask, because sometimes the messages, like if somebody is new and they're not able to bring a message through, the
Uh-huh.
message will come from somebody else.
Right.
So let me just confirm. Okay, was Mrs. Burke a little bit feisty?
Yeah, but she was feisty, but Val is very feisty.
Okay, because what she said was, well, of course I'm speaking for somebody else.
Exactly. That is exactly how she talks.
Okay. Okay, so let's go back in there and just see if I can get any more information. I'm not
Okay.
seeing anybody else with her.
Uh-huh.
Um, but if she's speaking for somebody else,
Right.
it's possible I wouldn't. Um,
Yeah.
okay, so she's saying, I don't really understand how this is all happening.
Right.
Um, she says, I feel like I'm talking to myself, but I know I'm not.
Right.
Okay, the house where you got the journal,
Uh-huh.
was it kind of like, they're showing me a room that was kind of dark, in that the furniture was like dark brown. Um, it wasn't a
Uh-huh.
well lit room as far as sunlight streaming through or anything like that.
I think because when I got the book, it was outside, during the
Oh, okay.
sale. Um, I think Val's son pulled it out from like the basement, because he was pulling stuff out for the sale.
Okay.
And he knows Mrs. Burke as well too. That's why, but I mean, she was like mean. She was very mean here. That's why, you know, but with that tone, of course I'm talking for someone else. I mean, that is exactly how she talks.
Okay.
And So, but no, I always pictured her and Val kind of being together there, you
Okay.
know, because Val really took care of her, just great care of her uh in her later years.
Okay.
So,
Did the room, was there a room somewhere that had like these bookshelves and it was just filled with books? And because what I'm seeing is I'm seeing a room and it's like it's got bookshelves, but they're not to the ceiling. And
mhm,
they're kind of like probably waist high. And there's a brown, it looks like leather, but it might not be, chair, and there's like a lamp with a lamp shade over it, and the light is like kind of that yellowish incandescent light,
right,
and it's between the chair and the bookshelf, and above, if you're looking at the bookshelf, there's is like a stairwell going up, so that's
okay,
why the bookshelf isn't all the way to the ceiling, and there's like a railing there, but it's not an open railing, so it's like somebody, it's like the old style homes where the wood was laid flat on the open space and you could just put your hand on there as you went up, because there's a whole
right,
other side that's a solid wall that looks like it has a railing, so there's
yeah,
stairs going to the upstairs, and that's kind of the room she's standing in.
okay. That would be her house.
Okay.
Um, that would be Mrs. Burke's house. So,
Okay. Okay, so she's actually in her own home, and
okay,
okay. So when I just described that, somebody peeked their head in that, that split area that I said that leads to the
right,
upstairs. Somebody peeked around, like they were coming down the stairs, but they weren't going to come all the way down the stairs. And they kind of peeked their head around and they looked. But I
okay.
couldn't get a quick enough glance at. Okay. uh, okay. I get the sense this person isn't like the same age as, like she's not, it's a female.
Uh-huh.
She's not, she was not in her 80s or 90s. She looked younger, but not, it's like, what is she saying? I died before my time.
See, that would be Val.
Okay. Um,
So,
all right. So the message I got was, I'm sorry I had to leave you.
yeah,
Okay. But she's not bringing herself down. Okay.
right.
She's staying, other than her head peeking around and those messages, she's staying behind that wall. So that
Yeah,
would make sense to me that she's not ready to fully show herself yet,
right.
but she's showing for you.
Yeah,
Okay, she's saying, I want you to keep going. Was there something that you shared with her that she knew you might not continue to do?
um, I think we would always give each other pep talks. She was the pep
Okay.
talker.
Okay.
So that's exactly what she, you know, she's like, keep going. And that's what, you know, because I always say if you're going through hell, keep going because you're not meant to be there.
Okay.
So,
All right. Okay, so my guides are laughing at me because we had talked about not having mediumship come through, but mediumship
right.
came through. So
Yeah.
it's 100% up to them what happens and where things go. So I'm going to actually release them,
Okay.
release Val, release Mrs. Burke, and bring it back into do you have any additional questions for the guidance team that's there?
Um, I think they really covered everything. It's like they did validate everything that I'm doing and everything I'm thinking of, you know. So, and they know that I'm not going to be a 9 to 5 person. I did that decades ago. I'm going to have my adventures. I'm going to, if I am curious about something, I'm going to go learn about it. If I don't like it, I'm going to go do something else. So,
Okay, perfect. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to release that red ribbon that was tying
okay.
us together, send your heart energy back to you. And I want to thank Mrs. Burke and Val and my mediumship guides for bringing them through. I want to thank my guidance team for, the messages that they brought through for you, for supporting us in allowing us to give a peek into what a session looks like. I am profoundly grateful for all of the guidance that you provide, for you working with me every time that I call. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And I release you. And so it is.
And so it is.
Awesome. Okay. So there we go. Okay. So is there anything that you want to share about the information that came through?
Yes, because so I didn't want to tell you this before this started. Um, and it just happened a few months ago. But Val, I have known her since I was 17, and she was married for a short time with my dad. And, you know, they've been divorced probably 20 years or so. But they've always been very good friends. And my dad lives in one house facing the street, and then Val lives on this other street. But if you go through her garage, it goes into his backyard, you know, so we'd see each other all the time and stuff. She was the feisty one, and that's why she literally could handle Mrs. Burke, because Mrs. Burke was, she was older in her 90s, but she was living by herself, and Val kind of just her heart's huge, and so Val was always helping her,
Oh my God.
and but Val never told me this, and so she had like these lumps, and she didn't believe in going to the doctor and all of that stuff. So she literally, when she did go to the doctor, because she was feisty, she's still working 69, she had her own business with her son. They said, by the time she got to the doctor, she said, "I'm sorry, but you have cancer everywhere." And it was just a matter of a couple of weeks
Oh
that
wow.
she died. So, um, but I was always over there seeing her or my dad, and she came over one night to my dad's and said, "Hey, is Sonja going to be here tomorrow?" And he said, "No, she was already here." So anyway, I went over to talk to Val, and it was literally, I started crying, and she's like, "Why are you crying? This is how Val is." And this is how I feel too. When you die, it's a graduation of life. I said, "Well, I'm crying because I didn't know first that even if you were sick, I didn't understand that you were going to even just sell your house and move to where your son lives." I said, "So that broke my heart." I said, "But then with you being sick and stuff, and I didn't know." And so she would get mad if people would be sad that she is graduating from this life plane. And it happened, boom, fast. She was working, boom, boom, and then uh like a week after that, it was a matter of days, and she passed
Mhm.
away.
Wow.
So yeah, and so, but I haven't, the only time I ever cried was when I was talking to her, because we were hugging and we knew, but she was woo woo. She would send me stuff, and her and I would talk about this stuff. And if my dad was around, my dad's face would just go like blank because he didn't understand what we were talking about. So, um, and I knew when she was going in and out, because they had hospice there. Um, I could hear her like behind me with her mom saying, "Look at, they're all like looking at me when I don't have my makeup on and blah blah blah, and stuff." because she was already, transitioning and stuff.
Right.
And so, but when I got the book of Mrs. Burke's, the day before, I was like thinking, I wonder if Val has seen Mrs. Burke yet, because she's, Mrs. Burke was Jewish and stuff. And then I found that book. So that was kind of validation. And then with Mrs. Burke being there saying, I don't know why I'm here,
Yeah.
so
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, so it all just fits in. But
Yeah.
no, I knew she was gonna apologize for leaving me too soon,
Yeah.
because that was the joke. I wanted to grow old with her, and we could just make fun of everybody, be
Yeah.
two old ladies sitting on the front porch laughing about stuff. So
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
that's why I
Yeah.
said that.
That's very cool because and you already know this, but when mediumship comes through and they validate who they are, it's proof of the continuity of life just in a different form. And
Right,
so yeah, because there's no way I would know those things, they have
right.
to come through from her. So I love when that
Yeah,
happens, and I'm really
yeah,
happy that she was able to come through, even though Mrs. Burke brought her through first and she was kind of hiding
right.
and the whole thing. I just allow however they want to
Yeah,
come through. I just allow, and so I'm really happy that that happened for you. So
yeah. Well, and Dal, she's ornery and she's feisty, so that doesn't change, where she's at. So that's what I mean. I could picture her like peeking around the corner just to be ornery and stuff as well. Um, so I haven't grieved her loss, because that's what energy and matter, they don't die, they just change form. So,
right.
and I always, I know when she's around, or, like, but just even the journal I got of Mrs. Burke's.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. And the thing is too, the other thing is to consider that they sometimes do change their personality. They change because they are energy on the other side. But if they
right,
came through in a different form than you were used to, you'd say, no, that's not her. So they have to
right.
come through exactly as they were in this lifetime.
Yeah,
Otherwise, you're not going to recognize them. So if she
right.
didn't come through feisty, you go, I don't think you have Val. So I think, I know for a fact that's why they come through as they did
Uh-huh.
in physical form, so that you know who they are. And
Right.
so I love that aspect of it. So
Yeah.
I want to just go ahead and thank you for being here, and for sharing this with me and allowing me to do this for you. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Susan. Thank you.
You're welcome.